you thought it was safe to stand up and salute the flag, Uncle Sam is back with a vengeance.
A Kuwaiti military unit discovered a mass grave in the desert. They positively identified the body.
Jody, stay away from the coffin.
You never fought for your country. You just kill for the love of killing.
Now, Uncle Sam has a contract on America. No one will ever burn another flag. Nobody will ever desecrate another grave. And no politician will ever tell another lie. From William Lustig, director of Maniac and the Maniac Cop trilogy, comes an all-new terror experience. Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam is a 1996 supernatural holiday horror film directed by the legendary William Lustig and written by the legendary Larry Cohen and produced by the legendary Don Daniel of Rock and Roll High School Forever fame. And it stars William Smith, Bo Hopkins, Isaac Hayes, and PJ Souls. A Desert Storm vet who was killed in combat rises from the grave on July 4th to kill the unpatriotic citizens of his hometown. Yeah, you know, this flick was made at the time when these movies ruled the video store shelves. All with very similar premises. I mean, all it took back in the day to get these supernatural monsters to wreak havoc was like for some blood to drip onto some snow. And you know, lesson learned. And you can always tell the best ones of these by if the VHS had one of the lenticular covers that morphed as you walked by. In the late 90s, you can go to different mom and pop shops and come home with the likes of Rumpelstiltskin, Pinocchio, Uncle Sam, Jack Frost, The Fear. So many different ones to choose from, and I for one really miss it. So much. All of these lesser quality horror flicks of the time, and this is the one I still rewatch once a year. Uncle Sam proves to be a very mean-spirited and violent affair that doesn't really take itself too seriously. I mean... And now the camp elements, they do reign supreme here for sure. And the combination of talents at play here really makes for a fun horror film. This wouldn't be the first collab between Cohen and Lustig, but I feel this may be the one they did with the lowest quality, budget-wise at least, as you can kind of tell they cut a lot of corners where they were needed, at least, and maybe where they weren't needed. But hey, that's the name of the game, I guess. The more harsh, mean-spirited stuff definitely seems to come from William Lustig, as that's kind of his calling card, as we all know. You know, being responsible for the Maniac franchise and everything. Is that the right way to refer to those movies? The Maniac franchise? I don't know. Not to say that Larry Cohen is any stranger to violence, but his is always more rooted in the fantastic. And the fantastic is prevalent the entire runtime of Uncle Sam, let me tell you. Uncle Sam would be another A-Pix release, a company I remember fondly from the video store days, and this isn't the first time we've covered them on the channel. A-Pix would feature a lot of these lenticular 3D VHS covers heavily, and I'm sure that they survived on this gimmick alone. Well, that and ripping movies off. But, you know, Uncle Sam really did have one of the coolest lenticular covers of those days. There are some really good scares here, really, and a lot of the stuff is played out in broad daylight, which makes it a really strange vibe. I've always found things that play out in daylight to be more horrifying, especially in this case. You know, there's a lot of great scenes in this movie, a lot. Let me show you my favorite one.
Nice costume. Can you help me find my way back to the road? Freak. Who the hell are you?
Uncle Sam would prove to be William Lustig's final feature film, and he would never direct again. although he would still produce and whatnot, as there seemed to be a kind of troubled production all the while on Uncle Sam. And Cohen would go on to express his distaste for the film as well, although it got quite the reception from horror fans. I mean, it has it all. A badass villain, great kills, nudity, comedy, a weird psychic connection subplot, Isaac Hayes, a score by Mark Governor, another rock and roll high school forever connection, and the film has a cool Fulci reference to boot, and not to mention the cool-ass lenticular 3D VHS cover. The film also had some really badass low-budget effects, another reason it's a standout of the bunch. And I had the chance to talk with veteran FX artist Joe Castro about his time working on the film. Let's check that out.
Well, at the time, I was working as a special effects artist in Hollywood, and I was working for a special effects company, and they were responsible for creating the special effects for that movie. So I worked on the special effects crew of that film, and I had the opportunity to make the Uncle Sam costume mask that the killer wears in the film. You know, the one that looks like it's bought from a store. The classic Uncle Sam look. Someone else sculpted the mask, but I painted it and I fabricated it and I put it together for the actor to wear underneath over the dead makeup that the character wore in the film. And at the beginning of the movie, there's like a war crime, a war accident that goes on, and there's two people that are burned alive in a helicopter. There's two dead bodies. I made those two dead bodies. Like they had no money at all whatsoever, left barely, and they just threw me a bone. But I made two full-scale burned cadavers for the opening of the film, and what do you call it? I have pictures of it on my Facebook page if you ever want to see what the actual bodies look like, the full bodies. But I did that, and then I think there's a couple of things I was responsible for, but I don't remember. It was so long ago, to be honest with you. In fact, I recently saw that movie for the first time this past 4th of July. I'd never even seen it. Oh, it was a fun movie. It turned out to be a fun movie. Yeah, there's one of the actors in it. This is a guy in a wheelchair, and he's got like a burn from a firecracker on his face. And the company I worked for, they did the makeup, but I was responsible for taking it off the actor because that was a very sensitive job. And putting it on was easy. Taking it off was hard, especially off of a child actor, someone who was a minor and underage. So they made me responsible for that. That was one of my jobs. And I really didn't think much of the film when we were working on it. No one knew that it was going to be a cult hit, but now many years later, everybody keeps asking me about it and talking with me about it, and so eventually I have to talk about it. I've met them. I had met them on set. I've met them since then afterwards. At the time, I really didn't think about it. I really didn't think too much about it, I remember meeting PJ Souls on set, and I was just working, it wasn't super exciting when you're there doing the work. Today, I mean, knowing all that I know, I might have experienced it differently today, but that white old man mask with the white hair and the white goatee, the little thing that comes off his lower lip, and I painted it like flesh color with rosy cheeks and painted little white eyebrows on it, that kind of thing. Yeah, trimmed it up and put the strap on. It was very simple, everything about the special effects for that movie were actually very simply done. But there's like this, endearing love, even for the simplest things, if they touch people in a way that they can appreciate it and enjoy it. And so, that simple, cheesy Halloween mask makes a lot of people happy just to know it and see it and, talk about it. Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I'm not really close to the people that I worked with on that film anymore. In fact, I consider them my mortal enemies. And so whenever I talk about it and I get to, relish in my participation in the film as if, I had some sort of big part of it. And in many ways I did, they'll probably say, nah, he didn't do anything, but I did. You know, the truth is, they'll never be able to take that away from me. I did put my hands on it. I did help create that. I did work with that, and I'm sure it gets under their skin. If they hear this interview, I'm sure it'll really get under their skin. You know, and that's how life goes, man. You know, and to be honest with you, between you and me and the rest of the people of the world that listen to this, they gave me the job to make the Halloween mask because they thought my work wasn't good. And they thought, oh, give it to him to do because it will look amateur like a real Halloween mask from a store. And then it ended up being the most important thing in the entire film. See, and that's the way kind of my career has gone down.
I recommend Uncle Sam as it is indeed a memorable, worthwhile slasher flick. A sequel was planned, but canned, as A-Pix couldn't get their shit together apparently. But it makes for a fun 4th of July watch on the regular. And some of these kills, man, I just love them. And I often find myself returning just to see them again. Anybody agree? Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and consider joining our Patreon. I'm not sure what the next episode of Staunch on Film will be, as these interviews are getting harder and harder to land. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions. And happy 4th of July. Until next time, folks, don't forget to rewind.